Today I'm going to be showing you guys my full set of custom tactics that I go into games with. When you incorporate all of these tactics together, it covers you for all bases in all games and ensures you guys are getting as many wins as possible. Let's get into it. For frame of reference, this is the team that I'm using on this account with these custom tactics. I also use the exact same set of custom tactics on my other account that you sometimes see me playing games with. Let's jump into the custom tactics here, and first and foremost I'm going to show you my starting formation. This is a set of 4-1-2-1-2 custom tactics, but it is the wider version with a left mid and right mid, not the version you tend to see people playing with, which is the narrow or second variation. This does have a full video covering these tactics. If you want to check them out, that is linked in the description below. But to fly through these quickly, the defensive style is balanced, width 40 just to tighten up a little bit, and then depth 55. Not going too aggressive with the depth in this setup just because it's my balanced setup. I don't want to be too aggressive off the bat, but also this formation is quite attacking in its nature, so it's not great to play a really high depth with those kinds of formations. The build-up play is balanced, chance creation, direct passing, width 50, players in the box 5. This is all very, very balanced. And corners and free kicks, for you guys, just go with whatever your personal preference is. Getting into the player instructions, we have the two strikers on stay central. I trust Puskás and Eusebio's AI to kind of get in behind as I trigger their runs and for them to make good runs, so I don't feel the need for the getting behind instruction. Also, it is nice to call them two sometimes. My cam is on comeback on defence and get into the box for cross. The comeback on defence is vital to make this formation defend in a 4-4-2. The great thing about this formation is you will notice the transition from cam to centre mid when defending is excellent. Both your left mid and right mid are just come back on defence. The DM is stay back while attacking, cover centre. And then my wing backs are stay back while attacking and overlap for the run type, just so they do hug the byline if they do make an overlap. As for my goalkeeper and my two centre backs, this is all just on the default. As I said, this is literally my starting formation, what I go into games with, what I am using most of the time as it stands. If you look at my custom tactics playlist link below, you'll find some other formations like my 4-4-1-1 second variation, my 4-1-2-1-2 narrow. These are other formations that I have had as my starting formations, but this is the current one I'm having the most success with, which is why I did also make a full video on it. So like I say, you can check that out down below as well. Next up, we have the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow this time. So this is the second variation. This is definitely a more offensive custom tactic. It's what I'll switch to if I find myself needing goals, but I don't want to resort to a constant press. So say it's 30 minutes into the game, I'm 2-3-0 down. This is what I will switch to. So I'm not draining my team's stamina, but I'm still playing in a more offensive manner to get back into the game. So defensive style balanced, width 40, depth 60. I will also mention there is also a full video on these tactics as well, also linked below if you do want to hear me talk about these in more depth. As for the build-up play, we've got balanced, and then for chance creation, we've got forward runs. Forward runs is the most fluid, in my opinion, on the attack in this game. The only sort of downside to it is, because of how offensive it is, you are left more exposed than if you use direct passing. So for getting back into games, forward runs is hand down the best one to use. Offensive width is 40, formation is narrow anyway, so we're just leaning into that a little bit. And then players in the box is on 5, which you might think, that seems quite modest for a more attacking tactic. But there are a lot of players, once we get into the instructions, that you'll see are unbalanced. So it's not too important to actually up this too high. Corners and free kicks, once again, just go with whatever your personal preference is. Getting into the player instructions, so both strikers, once again, stay central, nothing else. Your cam is on comeback on defence. Your left centre mid and your CDM are going to be on cover centre. Just make sure your DM is also on stay back while attacking. Then the right centre mid is just completely on the default. When defending, your right centre mid will tuck out to the right mid, your cam will tuck out to the left mid, and then your left centre mid and CDM will sit as a pairing in the middle, again to defend in a 4-4-2. As for the defence, we have the left back and right back, both on overlap and both on balance. That's definitely the biggest key difference between this one and my starting formation. We are getting those wing backs involved to give us width, and it just creates huge overloads. Yes, it is at the cost of the defence a little bit, but like I say, this is about getting back into games. Once again, centre-backs and goalkeeper, all just on the default. Next up, we have our all-out constant press tactic. This is when all else has failed. So starting off with the defensive style, this is constant press. The defensive width is 35 and the depth is 100. I used to toy with this on 71, but I often found myself finding 100 literally just to be more effective, so I've kept that as it is. Build-up play is balanced, chance creation, direct passing. The reason I haven't gone forward runs on this one is because you've got like a line of 5 in a 4-4-1-1. It's really effective with the way direct passing works to sort of drive the byline and then work the ball across. Direct passing just serves that style better, and when you're throwing people forward, I just find that is more effective. The width is 35, and then players in the box, like the depth, is just fully maxed out to try and throw players at the opponent. Corners and free kicks, as always, personal preference. For the player instructions, not too important really with a constant press tactic because you are just about throwing numbers forward. But regardless, I'll run you through them. Striker is stay central, getting behind. The cam is just on get into the box for cross. Left mid and right mid is on come back on defence and stay wide. Stay wide is just so that you have got players that get isolated out of space. What I mean is when you've got the ball and like this formation, you're playing it quite narrow, the opponent's defensive line generally gets tucked in. So if you've got two players on stay wide, despite that narrow shape, your left mid and right mid basically get in lots of space. So it's easy to switch to them and then get in behind. The two centre mids are both just on balance to cover centre. And then the left back and right back, I do actually have these on stay back because they naturally kind of get forward anyway when you've got 10 players in the box and the instructions. And also, I don't want to be giving goals away if I do lose possession. And once again, centre-backs, goalkeeper, all just on the default. Now, definitely the dirtiest of the tactics here, which to be honest with you guys, I basically never use this. The only time I'll switch to this 5-4-1 is if there's maybe 5 minutes tops left in a game, and I'm playing someone that I just feel is out and out better than me. It's the only time I'll resort to it. Generally, if I'm winning with a formation, I never feel the need to switch. It's like don't fix what isn't broke sort of an approach. But if need be, you can switch to this 5-4-1. I nearly choked then just thinking about it because it is the grossest formation in the game. So we have defensive style balanced, width 40, depth 60. The build-up play is balanced. Chance creation is forward runs, and the only reason I do that is even if I'm using something very defensive, I still want to have the ability to score goals and attack. I'm not someone that likes to have a defensive tactic that is just all-out defense. I basically use the 5-4-1 because as a formation, as a shape, it is the most defensive. So I don't feel the need to lean into that even more. It's the most defensive formation in the game. I'm kind of just trusting the fact that I'm using that to be enough. So I do actually run forward runs to give it more of an attacking prowess. For the offensive width, that is on 40, and then players in the box is on kind of a modest 5. Corners and free kicks, once again, personal preference. Player instructions, so our striker is stay central, our left mid and right mid are both on comeback on defence and cut inside. Cut inside is vital for a 5-4-1, otherwise your striker is just going to be completely on his own. The two centre mids are both on cover centre, and then just have your more defensive orientated one on stay back. As for the left back and the right back, or left wing back, right wing back, they're both on balanced overlap. They are basically creating the overloads down the flank, but they are also dropping in to create a 5-back on the defence. And then all the centre backs and the goalkeeper are all just on the default. Instructions aren't too vital with this formation other than the cut inside on the wingers and the balanced on the wing backs. Everything else is pretty much personal preference. But like I say, this formation in its nature is just super defensive. So I actually do kind of format it as if I was starting in it. I just don't use it because it's just too heavy on the defensive mindset, which I just don't enjoy playing the game that way. But it's there if I need an SOS, and I absolutely need it. But to be honest, if you find yourself switching to this, it's probably because you're desperate to cling on. So I would always aim to try and get better at the game rather than resorting to things like this, but it is there if you want it. Last but definitely not least is actually my balanced instructions. Now, I obviously never use the balance slot. That is just for my formation build. However, when you start a game, you are in this. Even if you switch it straight away, it generally takes a good 6-7 seconds for your formation to actually take shape. So I do actually like to have some tactics set up here just for those first few seconds so I don't get caught out. I go with a very narrow width of 35, same with the attack, and then the depth I play it to 71 to get automatic offside traps. I just find from kickoff, I get kick-offed a lot less when I play the automatic offside trap from kickoff. So that is what I do opt for. The balanced direct passing, players in the box, it's all irrelevant really because by the time I'm going forward, I'm not using this anymore. So I would just make sure you guys, for frame of reference, have your defensive style, width, depth, and then I guess build up play and chance creation set up. But everything else is somewhat irrelevant, like corners, free kicks. It's never going to matter. But I would say even more so than what I just said, just make sure you've got your defensive style, width and depth set up, because off of the bat, that's kind of the only thing that you're going to potentially notice. As for player instructions and stuff, I literally don't put anything on them because, like I say, as soon as the game's starting, I'm switching out of it, so I'm not even really relying on anything there. It's more just about your defensive shape. Let me know down below how you get on with the formations, guys. Just ensure you are applying each setup in the way that I said that I do. Having the ability to adapt in-game with these different setups is the big difference. It is such a huge difference between getting, say, something like 11 wins and then getting something like 16 wins. It really can make that much of a difference to be able to adapt and have really good setups that have been fine-tuned like these ones to switch to in-game and really get the most out of your results. As I mentioned earlier as well, guys, if you want to see the more in-depth breakdowns of some of these formations, that's all linked in the description below for you guys. As always, if you did make it this far in the video though, guys, I really appreciate your time. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and turn your bell on. Take care, guys.